In the early 1700s, Europe looked west to France, south to Spain, and north to Sweden for power, while barely paying attention to a vast, frozen land in the east that seemed distant, backward, and trapped in old traditions. Yet within just a few decades, that overlooked kingdom would rise into a colossal force, commanding armies, fleets, and influence across continents. In 1721, Russia officially became an empire, and behind this transformation stood one relentless ruler who refused to accept weakness, isolation, or limits: Peter the Great. From this moment, Russia would no longer follow history, it would begin to shape it. At the end of the 17th century, Russia was enormous in size, but fragile in strength. Its roads were primitive, its army relied on outdated weapons and poor training. Its economy depended almost entirely on agriculture. Most of the population were peasants tied to the land, living in poverty and ignorance. The nobility clung to old customs. The Orthodox Church controlled education and resisted foreign ideas. While Western Europe advanced in science, navigation, industry, and military technology, Russia remained isolated from the modern world. It was a sleeping giant, powerful in potential, but unprepared for reality. Peter was born in 1672 into a violent and unstable royal environment. As a child, he witnessed palace coups, rebellions, and executions. These early experiences hardened him and taught him that power must be protected at all costs. Unlike traditional Russian rulers, Peter was endlessly curious. He loved tools, maps, ships, and machines. He spent hours learning carpentry, metallurgy, and engineering. He was fascinated by how Europeans built fleets and organized armies. From a young age, he believed that Russia's survival depended on learning from the outside world. In the late 1990s, Peter made a shocking decision. He left Russia in secret and traveled across Europe disguised as an ordinary worker. During this grand embassy, he worked in shipyards in the Netherlands, studied naval construction in England, visited factories in Germany, and met scientists, engineers, and generals. He learned how to build warships with his own hands. He observed how modern states were organized. When he returned home, he was determined to rebuild Russia from the ground up, no matter how much resistance he faced. Once firmly in power, Peter launched a ruthless campaign of reform. He reorganized the army, introducing Western uniforms, discipline, artillery, and professional training. He built Russia's first modern navy from nothing, transforming forests into fleets of warships. He restructured the government, replacing old noble councils with ministries and bureaucracies. He introduced new taxes to fund his projects. He created state-controlled factories to produce weapons, tools, and equipment. Even appearance became political. Peter ordered nobles to shave their beards and wear Western-style clothing. Those who refused were fined. Traditional robes were replaced with coats and boots. Balls and social gatherings followed Western customs. These changes symbolized a deeper message. Russia must abandon isolation and become part of the modern world. Resistance was crushed without mercy. Rebellions were brutally suppressed. Peter ruled with iron discipline, believing that progress required sacrifice. To prove Russia's new strength, Peter turned his attention to the Baltic region, dominated by the powerful kingdom of Sweden. Sweden controlled key trade routes and blocked Russia's access to the sea. Without ports, Russia could not become a global power. In 1700, Peter launched the Great Northern War, beginning a long and brutal struggle for dominance. At first, disaster struck. Russian forces suffered humiliating defeats. Swedish armies, highly trained and confident, crushed Peter's troops. Many European observers believed Russia's modernization had failed, but Peter refused to surrender. He rebuilt his army from scratch. He trained officers personally. He improved supply systems. He expanded weapons production. Year after year, his forces grew stronger. In 1709, Russian troops defeated Sweden in a decisive battle, marking a turning point in European history. For the first time, Russia had proven itself as a major military power. Foreign courts were shocked. Diplomats rewrote their strategies. Kings reconsidered alliances. The balance of power in Europe had changed. While fighting wars, Peter was also building a new capital. On swampy land near the Baltic Sea, he ordered the construction of St. Petersburg. The project was monumental and merciless. Workers labored in freezing mud, battling floods, disease, and hunger. Thousands died, yet construction never stopped. Canals were dug, palaces rose, stone buildings replaced wooden huts. St. Petersburg became Russia's window to Europe. It featured wide avenues, elegant architecture, scientific institutions, and ports open to international trade. By moving the capital there, Peter made a powerful statement. Russia was no longer turned inward, it was facing the world. Diplomats, merchants, and scholars poured into the city. Western ideas flowed freely. A new Russian identity was being born. Peter's reforms reached every corner of society. He founded engineering schools, naval academies, and medical institutes. He sent young Russians abroad to study. He reformed the calendar and alphabet. He encouraged scientific research. He supported printing and education. Industry expanded. Ironworks, shipyards, and textile factories multiplied. Russia slowly reduced its dependence on foreign imports and became self-sufficient in many fields. But this transformation came at a terrible human cost. Peasants were forced into labor. Taxes rose sharply. Soldiers were drafted for life. Families were torn apart. Living standards for ordinary people often worsened. Many hated Peter's policies. Some saw him as a tyrant who betrayed tradition. Others viewed him as a visionary who saved Russia from decline. To Peter, national strength mattered more than personal comfort. He believed suffering was the price of greatness. By the early 1720s, Russia had been completely transformed. It possessed one of Europe's largest armies. Its navy dominated northern waters. Its government operated through modern institutions. Its economy was expanding. Its diplomats negotiated as equals with the great powers. Russia was no longer a distant kingdom. It was a central player in international politics. In 1721, after securing military victories and diplomatic recognition, Peter made his final move. He proclaimed Russia an empire and took the title of emperor. The state officially became the Russian Empire. This was more than a symbolic change. It announced to the world that Russia had joined the highest rank of global powers. Foreign courts now treated Peter as an emperor. Treaties reflected Russia's new status. Trade expanded. Influence spread across Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and Siberia. From the Baltic Sea to the Pacific Ocean, Russian authority stretched across continents. A once isolated kingdom had become a multinational empire. When Peter died in 1725, he left behind a nation transformed by his will. His reforms were controversial and incomplete, but they had permanently altered Russia's direction. Future rulers would expand his empire, strengthen his institutions, and continue his vision of greatness. The founding of the Russian Empire in 1721 was not an accident of history. It was the result of obsession, courage, sacrifice, and relentless determination. It was built in shipyards and battlefields, in frozen swamps and royal courts, through sweat, blood, and ambition. Under Peter the Great, Russia reinvented itself, rising from isolation to dominance and stepping onto the world stage as a power that would shape global history for centuries to come.